So this hour, we've got defendant Dale Warner appearing in court for the first time since his wife's body was found. He's accused of murdering his wife, Dee, who went missing back in 2021. Now, her remains were found last month in an ammonia tank. Before we get into court, here's some background on the case from Scripps News Detroit.
We're at the final resting place where we found Dee's body entombed in one of these anhydrous tanks.
It's Dee Warner's sister-in-law, Gregg Hardy, who took us to this barn, what was planned to be Dee Warner's final resting place by someone. Family believes that 3.5 years ago, when Dee disappeared, her husband, Dale Warner, brought a smaller tank, just like one of these, inside of this barn. They believe that he took off the front part, put Dee's remains inside, and then welded it shut. It was Shelley's husband, Dee's brother, Gregg, who tipped police off recently that they should look inside.
It was certainly tough for the family to face my sister's remains in a man-made tomb done by Dale Warner, who was a very evil piece of human debris.
Gregg Hardy and one of Dee's daughters, Raquel Bach, addressed the media regarding the findings on Thursday, one day after the medical examiner identified them as Dee. In the years since Dee went missing, thousands have continued to look for clues, including the group Justice for Dee, which the family partially attributed this recent break in the case to.
We cannot begin to thank you guys enough for sticking by our side and believing in us when we didn't want to believe in ourselves anymore.
The family is very open about their belief that Dee's husband Dale killed her. Any true closure for this family will be a long time coming. But at least now, Dee's body and any rumor that she ran away can finally be laid to rest.
Her spirit's gone a long ways.
I think we knew that spirit and we weren't going to give up on her. We were going to fight till the end, and we're still going to fight to the end to see that she gets her justice due.
Now let's go inside the courtroom and see what's happening in this hearing for Dale Warner.
Okay, we are on record then in file 24-21841-FC, People versus Dale Warner. We are here today for a pretrial conference in this case, and we are proceeding today by partially in person and partially by video conference. First, can I ask the attorneys to place their appearance on the record, beginning with Ms. Wise.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jackie Wise on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Mary Chardy on behalf of Dale Warner. We are both participating via Zoom. Thank you.
All right, and so I know that the transcript of the preliminary examination was just filed yesterday. Where do we stand with the case other than that?
So I'm happy to chime in. We just got the transcript. It is a number of pages, as the court likely knows. The prosecutor and I are meeting next Tuesday, September 10th. We know that there's some discovery that we don't have, not for any nefarious purpose, just because a lot of things have been going back and forth. Also, we know we're missing some discovery from the most recent events. We did receive some yesterday. So I think that's a really good starting point for us to know essentially how much time we'll need to review whatever may still be outstanding. Also, I fully expect a pretty vigorous motion practice that will likely occur once we have all the discovery and have reviewed the transcripts as well. Also, there is a pending protective order that Ms. Wise and I are in the process of working on related to some items from the Ambassador Bridge. So once that's prepared, I believe Ms. Wise will, I think it's been prepared and we're working on revisions. Once that's reached, then she'll submit that to the court and then we can receive those materials. So I think that we're moving along as best we can at this stage, but again, we do know that there are some outstanding matters.
All right, Ms. Wise, anything to add from the people?
No, Your Honor. I would just ask for another pretrial, probably 60 days out. That would give us time to, maybe Ms. Chartier will have some idea of what types of motions and maybe have them filed by that time, and we can move forward with a little bit more understanding at that point.
All right, Ms. Chartier, are you in agreement with that?
I am, Your Honor. Thank you.
So 60 days would take us to the beginning of November. We can do November 6th at 8:15.
Unfortunately, I'm in a trial November 6th as well as on November 13th. I don't know if the court is amenable to going to October 30th. We're supposed to start a trial that week as well, but that one is a little in flux. So I could certainly let the court know if October 30th doesn't work, but I certainly hope it does.
All right, Ms. Weiss, would October 30th work for the team?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so we'll set it for October 30th at 8:15 a.m. for another pretrial.
If that date does not work, if the trial doesn't go, would the court like me to prepare a stipulation, work with Ms. Weiss, and then work with your chambers on a new date?
That would be fine. Just contact us as far in advance as you might know, so that we can have some advance notice.
Thank you. And would the court like a stipulation today on the new pretrial date?
Yes, if you could prepare that, I would appreciate it.
I will, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else we need to address with this case today, then?
No, Your Honor.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so there we have it. A conference to touch base on dates on the calendar to make sure everything is going to be on track for the trial. You heard His Honor saying that October 30th will be the next pretrial hearing to make sure that everything is order. And now things have changed a bit. I mean, let's go back. Remember, at the preliminary hearing, the defense team was fighting and raising the issue that there was no body. And they were saying maybe Dee Warner wasn't even murdered, Judge. Maybe she wasn't even murdered. Kick this case. Well, the judge held the case for court. Here he is in big court, in common pleas court, and then the discovery of her remains on his property. Now, how does this change things for the defense? Well, let's bring in criminal defense attorney Jessica Michali. You saw her in action, winning the case when she represented Marsha Thompson. Jessica, good morning to you. Nice to have you on as an analyst and not talking about a case that you have, so the pressure's off.
Yes, so nice to see you. Thank you.
Of course. So let's talk about when you have to do one of those pivots. And I always say never blame the defense attorneys. Clients don't always share everything. And even if they do, there are surprises that come with newly discovered evidence. And this is a big one. Her remains found on his property in that ammonia tank. What might the strategy be now? What might you do if you were representing Dale Warner and taking his case to trial?
So this is a very difficult moment for Dale Warner and his team. When you have a murder charge and there's no body, it automatically makes it really hard for the state to prove, right? Because they can't really prove that the person is dead. And sometimes they have other evidence, like sometimes they have the person's blood and things like that, but just not a body. So it leans toward the person has definitely died. In this case, there was really an argument that she was just gone. Right? There was all this evidence that she wanted to divorce him, that she wanted to leave him, and then she disappeared. I think it was a stretch, but it was definitely an argument. Now that her remains have been found and the place in which they were found, I think they really need to put their heads together right now to figure out what they're going to say. I would look to, obviously, whether or not his fingerprints are there, whether or not they can really prove that he ever touched this thing, because his obvious only defenses are, one, that it wasn't him, that somebody else did this and did it on his property, or two, getting into what happened at the time that she was killed, meaning maybe there was an altercation, maybe he defended himself, but they have the issue of he really having no credibility at this point, given the history of the case and the things that he's said and done. So it's really, really difficult for his defense team right now.
Yeah, great points, Jessica. Let's talk a little bit more about the latter point you made. The time that she disappeared, right? So this is going back to April 25th of 2021. This is in Michigan. A little bit of information that was gleaned by an attorney and former military investigator who's been helping Dee's family. And he was able to glean that he spoke to several witnesses who, presumably friends close to the couple, who said that they were arguing about one of their businesses the day before Dee disappeared, and that she even had sent her 9-year-old daughter to stay with a friend that evening because that night she planned to ask Dale for a divorce. And phone records apparently show that Dee got a text from one of her friends at 10:24 at night asking how she was doing. But a half hour later, the friend said the text back just simply had the letter K. Jessica, your thoughts hearing a little bit of this context? I realize that it's limited, but it's just something to think about.
Again, it's harmful. It's harmful to the defendant, and it's harmful to the defendant's case. So even just the fact that she was making plans to have her daughter sleep somewhere else just to have a conversation with him, right, shows that the relationship, I think, was volatile. Otherwise, you can have a conversation while your child is asleep after bedtime, right, in the same house. But it's kind of showing that the relationship is volatile. You could stretch it to the argument even that she was afraid and she didn't want to have her daughter. She was looking to protect her daughter in case whatever happened in that conversation. I think it's clear, and I've read about what the investigator gleaned and found out that the relationship was tumultuous, especially at this time, that they were arguing over the business, that they were arguing over other things, and that it was quite combative. So I think just knowing those facts, it's difficult for him. And now with, again, her remains being found and where they were found is huge, because something like, well, they were going to talk about divorce and things like that could also just sort of be pivoted to an argument that she ran off, right? But now that's gone.
And what a big link that is. As you noted, Jessica, in his backyard is where his wife was buried. Jessica, Michali, stand by kindly, please. When we come back, we're going to hear from Dee Warner's brother. He was there at that quick hearing we just showed you, and now he's talking with the media. Stay tuned.
I think he was a ticking time bomb.
Chaos in a courtroom as a defendant goes after a judge.
And now faces a jury for attempted murder.
The Judge Jumper attempted murder trial. Live coverage today, only on Court TV. This week on Opening Statements.
A man attacks a judge, but will a jury believe his insanity plea? We'll get you ready for each day's proceedings in this high-profile trial.
Opening Statements with Julie Grant. Mornings at 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. So Defendant Dale Warner was just in court this morning for kind of a status hearing for his case. When the attorneys check in with the judge, making sure everything is on track, they set their next date for October 30th. But the big development came recently for him as his wife's body was discovered on his property in an ammonia tank. Now, that discovery last month really changed the game for his defense team, because initially they were saying, look, she wasn't murdered. She may have just left. Her body's never been found. Well, now it has been. Now, Dee's brother, Gregg Hardy, has been a tremendous advocate for her, speaking out, trying to find justice for his sister. And after the hearing, he took some time to talk with the media.
I know it wasn't a lot. Can you recap what happened inside?
Yeah, it was basically a technical setting of dates and talking about the availability of evidence for the defense, and setting timetable for a review of another hearing. Basically will be a pre-trial of some sort. Just, again, who knows where it'll go from there.
And what were you expecting today?
I was really expecting this. We have, you know, this is going to be a drawn-out procedure, apparently. So you're going to see more of this kind of thing, apparently.
And I mean, this has been, it seems like a common theme, that there's been constant delays, it's been stretched out. How are you feeling?
Well, you know, I've been an open critic of the process. Everyone knows that, because it takes up a lot of people's time. I have no problem with having a fair and just trial, no problem at all. And I certainly have no problem with a jury of the peers making judgment on Warner. It does seem like it takes quite a while to get there. And there are a lot of people in the families that are involved that have to take time off from their lives, which is fine, but you do have to still make a living and you still have to move forward with your life to some degree. So if we could streamline that a little bit, it would be nice.
And are you hoping to see more charges now that there's been the new evidence?
Well, I'm not a technical person on fact of law, but it would be, I think there are some other things that could be addressed within this case, but that's not my job. It's the authorities' job to try to accomplish that.
Is there anything else that you would want to add?
Well, I think this is a turning point for us, or we now have, as my wife had said, Dale Warner no longer controls Dee anymore. She's at her resting place, and we can't do any more than what we've done at this point. We worked as hard as we could to investigate and make the investigation work. Obviously, this is a success in finding her remains. It's reassuring the family that we were, there were those naysayers out there, and finding her body and laying her to rest validates the fact that we weren't just trying to incriminate someone. We knew this wasn't what Dee would have done. This was done to her viciously, so it's a validation of what we worked for so long is true. But now we're turning point. It's up to the court in the trial to find him whatever justice he deserves. And we want to focus on the community and what they can do to make sure this doesn't happen to someone else. I think that's one of the major focuses. Also the issue of can we make the system better? Can the community analyze where they're at with this and perhaps demand more from their people, from the people who work for them? I think it's a good time to take a good look at this and look at it closely.
Wow, great points made by Gregg Hardy there. He is Dee Warner's brother, and you can just really see the sadness all over his face. This has been a long time trying to get justice for his sister. And at first they thought, could she just be missing? No, she was killed. She was killed. This is a homicide, very clearly, and is her husband to blame is the only outstanding question now. We're going to hit a break. October 30th is the next date. We're going to see Dale Warner in court. And when we come back, we have lots more for you. We're talking about Sarah Boone, and we're also talking about Charlie Adelson. Thanks for being with us here on Court TV Live.